rock and roll. That's a good thing. Continue here. So Neil, I guess the roll call, please.
Yes, sir. One moment here. Let me get the right list up here, right agenda. There we go. Delvo,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
Dorf,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Inkvis,
Yes.
Parma,
Yes.
and Miss Reardon is no longer with us. So
Sir.
we have quorum, sir.
Okay. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve of the agenda, but we're going to hold over number 8 until a future time, either next meeting or a special meeting. Staff has asked us that staff and the developer have asked us that they want more time to research the document and legal as well. So, so with the approval of the agenda, we'll be without number 8 because that'll be hold over to another meeting. So a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
A second.
Okay.
Is that Matt and Melody, I believe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All those in favor, sing by saying aye.
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 Opposed, agenda approved. And approval of the minutes from February 8th. I hope everybody had a chance to review those.
Move to approve.
Um,
Move
Alder
to approve by Alderdorf.
Yep, got it. And Kathy, second.
Yep.
All those in favor to approve the minutes from February 8th, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Excellent. Opposed, the motion carried for the approval of the minutes. Okay, it's March, so I guess we have the election of officers. So I guess first thing would be nominations for the chair of our committee.
I nominate Gary Delvo.
Oh, I second that.
And I third.
Right.
Fourth it.
I
Who's gonna
fourth
fourth
it. I just arrived, guys. Bridget is here.
Oh, great, Bridget is here.
Bridget's here. You're here.
I'm here.
Excellent. Are there any other nominations? If not, all those in favor of Gary continuing being our chair, signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you very much. Opposed? Hopefully there's none. If there was, there is. Anyway, vice chair. Nominations are open now for vice chair.
Matt? That's a Matt. I'll second that.
Kathy's nominated Matt. Alderdorf seconded. Any other nominations? If not, all those in favor of Matt being our vice chair, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hopefully there's none. None or anything. That's a good thing. And our secretary right now is Neil, but there's open for nominations for the secretary of our organization.
I nominate Neil Steck-Schulte. I can even say it right.
That was perfect, Alderdorf. That was
Thank
perfect.
you.
I second Neil, and I'm not going to say his last name.
Okay, right.
Go.
We had retired men's club, and I struggled a little bit, but we got it. We got her out there. Anyway, any other nominations for our secretary? If not, all those in favor of Neil being our secretary, signify by saying aye.
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 It's really more than secretary. He's our executive director. It's really what it should be. But anyway, secretary / executive director. Thank you, Neil.
Thank
All right.
you.
So the next thing is our committees, and I don't know if everybody had a chance to see, we have an existing slate of how the committees are set up right now. And if anybody got any recommendations to changing, if you want to be on different ones or whatever, we're wide open to that. Otherwise, just kind of how it's set up right now.
Are some people missing?
Mhm.
Like, who's missing? Who's,
Bridget.
well, it
Bridget
just is,
on here.
and Bridget's kind of busy, but Bridget might want to be on one.
Well, it sounds like Bridget is so busy that she wants to go off our committee for a little while. Is that
Oh.
true, Bridget?
Want to? Heartbreaking, yes, but need to,
Yes.
yes.
Yep.
So that would be silly to do that.
Yeah, don't put me on there.
Okay.
You know where to find me, though. You know where
Right.
to find me and my
Yeah.
opinions.
We want to get an honest opinion on anything, Bridget.
That's right.
We're asking you, because we've enjoyed your company very, very much. You had
Oh, that's
you had a
nice.
lot of insight to our group from a business perspective, etc. And we're going to miss you immensely. So once
gonna
things
miss
settle
you
down,
guys.
if you want to come back, we always got room.
I would love that.
So would we. But anyway, so this is kind of how we're set up right now. If you want to change some things or otherwise, we can even talk about this at next meeting in case somebody wants to make some changes. But right now, if everybody's got that in front of them, this is how our subcommittees are set up. So I'm not sure we need to make a motion to approve this because like I said, people are just seeing it now. If in case they want to make some changes, get back to myself or Neil and we'll swap things around.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, there is no pending meeting or need for any of these subcommittees right now, so we do have some time. If members would like to take some additional time to consider which ones they're interested in, we can certainly bring this back at the next meeting.
Okay, very good. Any comments in regard to our subcommittees? If not, we'll leave them be as is right now anyway, and we can always change them if people have some desires. Thank you. Number 3, consideration of possible action, a commercial facade building materials grant request from Sarah Cooper and Keith Carter for enhancements to 1242 Main Street, parcel 8-272.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, I do have a couple of slides that I can share.
Yep, hold on, Aaron, I'll stop sharing mine. There you go.
Motion to open up meeting, please.
Second. Motion to open the floor.
Hold it, and
Second. Kathy Hinkes.
Kathy, I'm sorry. Very good. All in favor, signal saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, the floor is open to the public. Please continue.
All right, thank you.
Just to note, Chair Aaron Ravinsky is our staff person who's handling the facade program. But there are people here if
Okay.
they would speak. Well, go ahead, Aaron. Why don't you go ahead and start?
Thank you. So hopefully you all can see this map. So yes, we received a facade grant application from Sarah Cooper and Keith Carter, and it is for 1242 Main Street. And they own this building that's highlighted in red over here. And let me slide down to, this is their facade. So we received an application from them for the commercial facade materials. And their intent for this building is for an art studio on the first floor and a residence on there. And they would actually be residing there in that second floor apartment. And they are also putting a lot of work into the interior. So they submitted an application for the facade, and it's for window replacements. And so as you can see on here, and I will show you, this phase is for, you'll see in the packet, they kind of divided out into 2 different phases. And what they applied for this round was for the second floor windows. But it does show their intent in their bigger vision of renovating their building is to do first floor. So they do want to replace both, but right now we reviewed their application for the second floor windows where the residents will be.
Any comments by the owners?
Hi. Yeah, so we would love help, and we're 2 local employees. Sarah's a firefighter. I work at UWGB NWTC as an adjunct, not a full-time instructor. So yeah,
Excellent.
we're excited to be in the area as artists and as people that work in the community.
Yeah, it's nice living in the city that we work in and for, and this building is fantastic, but it does need a lot of love, especially those windows.
Those windows. Any questions for the owners or?
No, I move to approve.
So we've been working with them. The design review committee reviewed this application. And we've been in great contact with the owners and been working with them on their application and just going through this process. And so staff did review it and is recommending their full request of $5,102.
Questions or comments for staff or the owners? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to go back to regular order of business.
I think Kathy made a motion to approve. I would second that. This is Bridget.
Okay,
So
We have to go to regular order.
Okay,
Oh.
move to go back to regular order of business first.
Dorf
Right.
and Kathy second. All those in favor, saying aye.
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 Okay, we're back to regular order of business. Kathy, please.
And I definitely move to approve the recommendation to change out the windows. I'm trying to get the real paging through it here. Hang on 1 minute. Yes. Approve the commercial facade building materials grant request from Sarah Cooper and Keith Carter for enhancements to 1242 Main Street, parcel 8272.
And Bridget, I believe you second.
Second, yep, you guys are gonna miss it when I'm not here to do things in weird order.
Do the same thing, Bridget.
Any questions or comments in regard to the motion? If not, I'm sorry. If not, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
And thank you, for improving the building and giving it the love it needs.
Yeah.
Thank
Absolutely.
you guys so much.
Means a
Thanks
lot to
for
us.
each and good luck.
Thank you. It
Thank
means a
you.
lot to us. Yeah, we're hardworking. We want to make this place look beautiful.
I'm sure you will.
Welcome.
We're open.
welcome
You
to the
guys are all
neighborhood.
More than welcome to come visit. Yeah,
Right.
thank you.
Yeah.
We love your enthusiasm.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Okay, item number 4, consideration of possible action to approve a 90-day extension of a planning option with Maker Solutions for a 4-plex townhouse development at 115 South Van Buren Street. That you two, Keith? or-
Rhonda?
No?
Yep.
Sure.
As this one, I'm sure it sounds familiar to you guys. We've had this come up on the agenda a few times. Maker Solutions has made another request for a 90-day extension to continue to work on the site development. He is continuing to work with the possible partnership for financing options with NeighborWorks. Staff has reviewed this, and due to the fact that it will be a year as of March 9th. It has been 1 year since we originally awarded the original planning option. Therefore, staff is recommending that we provide a 60-day extension to continue this, just so that we have the ability to start the market out fresh with this spring real estate going on, to be able to get this if it does become unsuccessful.
What's the developer looking for in order to take the next step? I mean, is it financing? Or what is it?
I think Ken might be available.
Mr. Vinsky, if there's what the members would like to open the floor, I believe Ken is available to answer questions.
Motion to open the floor, please.
Motion to open the floor by Alderdorf.
Alderdorf. and
Second by
Matt.
Karma.
Okay, Bridget, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The floor is open to the public. Ken, are you out there?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak here today. Yeah, so in the last extension here of the planning option, my client was able to get a pre-approval for financing to purchase one of the units. And I currently have another client who is in that process as well to get pre-approved. However, they are not able to get the construction financing. So I am working on a deal right now with NeighborWorks to finance the construction of the project. And then they would also, and we're still in negotiations with this, but they would work to market and sell the remaining 2 units. And with that, as part of that negotiation, before we put any pen to paper, NeighborWorks had requested some more hard numbers for the project. So I've been working closely with Drury Designs to get all of our plans out to subcontractors, which in Drury Designs, the way they bid things out, it's a little bit ahead of their schedule. But due to the fact that we need to get the financing through NeighborWorks, they've been working with me to get those numbers at least closer, so we can kind of, it's that spinning wheel here, trying to get, approval from one side before we can get approval, so yeah, the last month has been exciting. There's been a lot of movement on the project. When I had submitted my letter, all of the plans had gone out for bid. We actually have majority of those back now, and we're just compiling those, myself and Drury Designs, in the next week or two, before we're able to present to NeighborWorks and see how we can work out a deal with the financing.
Ken, you sound pretty confident.
Yeah, I am very confident. Like I said, the last month or two here there's been a lot of work that has gone into it, and it's all been trending in the positive direction.
Can you live with the 60 days? Because like staff said, spring is coming, and if it's not going to go forward, you guys, we want to give somebody else an opportunity, although we very much want to work with you. Can you live with the 60 days?
It's going to be tight. Like I said, we still have a few more bids that we're waiting to get in. We have no promises on when those will arrive. The Drury Designs when they sent it out, they put a 2-week turnaround time on them, and most of them came back in at 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So 60 days is going to be tight. 90 would be nice. I see Noel has his hand raised. Wondering if
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. As Ken says, we don't have a plan forward finalized in terms of any NeighborWorks Green Bay involvement. Although we've had multiple conversations with Ken, and as he did say, we wanted some firmer numbers, and he's working on that. But I think just to argue on his behalf here, I guess, 60 days is really tight. Before we get all the work done, he's probably going to be writing up another request for, another extension. And that's all time that could be spent, honing the spreadsheet and getting down to brass tacks in terms of advancing the project. And I just encourage you to look at a 90-day extension.
Okay. Questions or comments for Ken or Neighborhood Works?
The only question I have, so this is more like a condo development?
No, they would be 4 individually owned townhouses. So we have to,
Okay.
Yeah, we'll still have to go through the process of subdividing the lot into 4 separate parcels, but they will be each owner occupied.
Okay.
Noel, do you share Ken's optimism? No?
Yeah, I think it's an exciting project. And Ken's done a lot of legwork. He's got, 2 buyers in hand for a 4-unit project. I think it's all tracking in the right direction.
Okay. Questions or comments for Neighborhood Works or Ken? If not, I'll entertain a motion to go back to regular order of business.
So moved.
Second.
Debbie, Alderdorf and Debbie making a motion to go back to regular order of business. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we're back to regular order of business. I'm just gonna make one quick comment. These are 2 great partners. Ken we worked with before in the past, and obviously Neighborhood Works. So it's up to the group, to go with 60 days or 90 days. But these are some good partners. Anyway, I'll entertain a
I'd like to
motion.
make a motion to go 90 days. Unless, well, yes, I'll make that motion to go 90 days. And then I'll ask Mr. Steckschulte to speak a little bit more.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I'll second that too.
I forgot, I missed the first second.
It was Parma.
Okay, Parma, great. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to go the 90 days extension. We got some questions or comments before we call the vote, please. Go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah, I want to hear from Mr. Steck-Schulte, or Director Steck-Schulte.
Okay,
Yep, absolutely. Staff does not certainly have any problem with the 90-day extension, Alderdorf. It's simply a matter of trying to make sure that we do want to make sure that we have something moving forward. We generally, anytime these requests come in for an extension, certainly after they've been in the year market, we certainly do try to keep them moving. We do certainly understand the partnership and value both Mr. Vinsky and with Mr. Halverson's their work that they do with us. So staff was just trying to be consistent with what we've done certainly in the past, but it is absolutely no problem from staff's point taking this from 60 to 90 days. And if that helps actually get the project moving forward, we're certainly comfortable with that.
Great, thank you.
there's a motion and a second. Any questions or
Here, can
comments?
I just
Yeah,
make a
please.
comment as well?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the other thing is just we're in unique times right now, right? I mean, Ken mentioned, getting documents out and trying to get bids back, and people are just busy, and that's just the nature of kind of the beast in construction right now. And so again, I just echo that they're good partners, and sure, it's been a year, which is a little frustrating from that perspective, but I don't think it is due to their lack of diligence on trying to get this project off the ground, which is why I seconded the motion. So just wanted to comment that.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions or comments in regard to the motion or a second? Debbie, please.
I just have, the one comment I have is that, just to even have 2 units pre-sold already. I mean, that's, if you switch gears, you're going to lose that. So
Great
that's
point.
all.
Yep, we had 2 in the hand.
Mhm.
With all those comments in mind, I'm calling for the vote in regard to the motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Oppose, motion carried. Thank you. Good luck, Ken, Noel. Excellent job.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
All right, number 5, consideration of possible action to approve a 90-day planning option for development of single-family owner-occupied affordable housing at 321 Law Street, parcel 21-2346.
Yep, I'm gonna take this one too. A little bit of background on 321 Lau Street that was purchased last June as a tax deeded foreclosure. We purchased it in the hopes of a single family owner occupied home. We've recently received 2 proposals, one coming from NeighborWorks Green Bay for a single family owner occupied property. This would be constructed by the Bridges Construction Student Build program. Construction would begin in August of this year with the preparation of the students to start framing at the start of their fall school year. NeighborWorks is requesting that property be deeded at 0 cost and is not asking for additional funding. Once completed, then the home would be sold at market rate. Our second proposal came from Greater Green Bay Habitat for Humanity for a single family owner occupied affordable rate home. Construction on this would also begin August of this year with the completion being done January. Habitat is asking the property to be deeded at no cost, but they would be using the additional funds from the home funds, though the amount has not yet been determined based on whether they're going to go with a 2 to 4 bedroom or 1 to 2 bath occupancy. This would be considered an affordable rate home based on its sale, putting both of them back out on the tax roll. Habitat's project will sell the house to an income qualified homeowner, whereas NeighborWorks Green Bay project would be a market sale. Though we believe in both of these projects and are working diligently to place both of them. Based on our most recent housing study, staff is recommending we reward the Greater Green Bay Habitat for Humanity project due to the fact that it is considered affordable housing.
Questions or comments?
I recommend this. I mean, I move that we approve this.
For Habitat.
Okay, to Habitat.
For Habitat, Barb?
Yeah, yes, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
because there's two different one, I mean, there's two proposals, so. But
I'm
I
sorry.
agree.
Noel has his hand up.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, please. Oh, wait, we have to open the meeting for Noel to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
A motion to open up the meeting, please.
So moved.
Kathy,
Second,
second by Debbie. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the meeting is open to the public. Noel, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the authority and staff. When we put the request in, I think this was something that our team was working with Rhonda on and seemed like a good site for a home. However, we are aware the city's got other properties. The notable thing for us here when we're doing these projects, we were looking at Lao as an adopt a home project. Those are philanthropist financed construction projects that we sell without income restriction. That doesn't mean that they all go to buyers above moderate income or at some lack of need. It's just there is no government restriction in terms of the purchaser, but we sell to anybody at all segments of the market. This was a project that we were looking at using high school students to build through Bridges Construction. This is a really successful program for us. We recognize that in addition to the lack of housing, one of the challenges that's leading to the shortage of housing and affordable housing in our community is just we don't have enough people building. And so, our Bridges partnership gets young people engaged in construction and the trades. And by and large, these young people are moving into housing construction after high school. And we're really excited about being a part of that, moving the needle and our housing challenges here in Green Bay. That being said, Bridges, from what we understand, looking at next year is going to be is got significant interest from students wanting to work on building houses. And we're probably going to double or even triple the number of projects that we're going to look at constructing next year. And so part of what I'm thinking about here is maybe we withdraw our request for law and instead look at a property that the city owns on Day Street, or the authority owns on Day Street. That's a kind of like a double wide lot, and it would open the possibility for us to do two simultaneous, either single family detached or maybe some sort of a twin home, but we haven't finalized any sort of plan or even conceptualized it. This is some respect a reaction to the prospect of not having a lot to build on. And so maybe we could look at developing two projects on that Day Street property instead of building on Law next year.
Thank you. Thanks for his comments. Questions or comments for Noel, Neighborhood Works?
No, just in regard to Noel's comment, I'd love to hear Neil comment on the feasibility of doing something like that. Incredibly supportive of what Noel's trying to do in the Bridges program, right? And I think everybody recognizes the shortage, right, that the trades labor is having, and just that's a really neat program, and would love to see how we could, bring that to fruition.
I think the short answer to that, Matt, is we would love to find a spot to have Noel be able to do a project like this. I think we have multiple options in the city to take a look at. So certainly if it's this location or if it's another spot, we definitely I think this has some significant potential. It is definitely a unique project. It's a unique approach to some affordable housing types of opportunities. And certainly any chance we've got to get one of our single family lots off of the city ownership and and get somebody into a home, we're going to see that as a positive opportunity. So I would think we would be more than happy to work with Mr. Halverson to find a location for the project.
Ron, I assume you agree with that there could be some other parcels that we could work with Neighborhood Works.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know I've been in contact with Jerry, and we've been kind of talking about this Day Street lot. Again, like Noel said, there's no conceptual plan yet put together, but we've already started discussions about that lot.
Okay. Any other questions for Neighborhood Works? If not, I entertain a motion to go back to regular order of business.
So moved.
Second.
Matt,
Second by Elder Dorf.
Before you take action on that, Mr. Chairman, respectfully, please, we're NeighborWorks Green Bay.
Oh,
Sorry.
it works. Right.
What did you say it was?
You said Neighborhood Works, and
Yeah.
I hate to correct you when I'm asking for something, but
We knew who he meant, Noel. We're good. So.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Noel. I appreciate the correction. Thank you. Anyway, okay, so motion to go back to regular order of business. All in favor, sing by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are back to regular order of business. I will entertain a motion. Oh, well, actually, Alder Dorf started. I think you might redo it, Alder Dorf.
Okay, I would move to approve the 90-day planning option to Greater Green Bay Habitat for Humanity for the development of the single-family owner-occupied affordable housing at 321 Lau Street.
And I will second that.
And a motion by Alder Dorf, second by Kathy. Questions or comments in regard to the motion?
Just one comment, and that is that the design of the Habitat home fits perfectly with that neighborhood.
Oh,
They're all the small little homes like that. It's perfect for that. And I appreciate Noel jumping in because I was having a hard time not on the NeighborWorks part, having been there for a long time. So that's my final comment. Move to approve.
okay, all those in favor, sing by saying aye. As compared to
Aye.
no.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
Gary,
Yes, Matt, please.
are you going to announce at the end of the meeting the new affordable housing enterprise that you're starting called Neighborhood Works?
Competition, huh? Yeah, competition. Oh, boy. All right, with that in mind, we shall move on to item number 6. Thanks. I got a feeling I'm gonna get a little more harassment with that one before this is all done. But anyway, number
You
6.
can handle it.
I guess so. Consideration of possible action on request by Impact 7 for a planning option extension on 420 South Broadway. Extensions. Who's got this? Neil?
Mr. Buchanan, I believe, has this one. Is he still with us?
Yep, I'm here.
There he is.
All right, so I believe you all should be familiar with this site. This is our former Badger sheet metal site on South Broadway near Arndt Street. Back last spring, the RDA first approved planning option to Impact 7 for them to start their work with a proposal to redevelop this site for multifamily housing. They were proposing, I believe, 238 units, also ground floor retail. Back this past fall, the RDA approved a planning option, an extension to the planning option. So their team could continue to do their research, their due diligence on the site, and explore financing options. They've come back and have requested just one more additional extension to the planning option just until June 1st. They're getting much closer to wrapping their work up and are much closer to the development agreement discussion, but they still have a little bit of work to do to finalize their cost estimates. They have selected a contractor. They just need to tie up some loose ends with their pro forma, and then hopefully we'll be back here by June 1st with a discussion for a development agreement. I believe Kate Sullivan with Impact 7 is on the call if you have any questions for their team. Otherwise, I can help answer any questions for staff.
Matt, you sound pretty confident.
Yes, we've been working closely with them in these many months. Staff believes it's a really good project. We're excited to continue moving things forward.
I don't see any reason to open up the meeting, but if the rest of the group does, we can. It's up to you. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion either way.
I make the motion, then we give them the extra 90 days. Is it 90 or 60?
It's 90, Kathy, you're right.
Yep.
June
Okay.
1st.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Kathy, second by Matt, that we grant a 90-day extension. Questions or comments in regard to the motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 I,
Opposed? Motion carried. Kind of related to that, Neil, kind of
Yes,
a
sir.
side note- kind of a side note again. When are we going to be back at live bodies to bodies in room 610? Is it whatever? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, right now, like I said, we could have a little bit more of an update under director's report, but staff is
Okay.
currently working on, our IT department's working on making some corrections to some of the conference rooms and meeting rooms, including 604, to make the hybrid meetings at least more possible. So we would have the ability for some people to attend in person and others to join in virtually if they so chose. So
Great.
we are working on, the staff is currently working on making those improvements to multiple conference rooms. What we're finding is we're trying to get these back in person. We're ending up with meeting conflicts in terms of people needing to use those rooms. So the number of committees and commissions that are meeting together. So we're doing some shifting of some of the scheduling a little bit to try to make that happen. So.
All right, the bottom line, you're working on it. I assume you're working on it hard, I'm sure. Okay, number 7. All right, number 7, consideration of possible action on approval to quit claim part of parcel 2-947 to the city of Green Bay.
Yep, I'm going to take this one also. This goes in conjunction with the 420 South Broadway Impact 7 development. The last lot that parcel that we needed to acquire was the 421 Arch Street, which Trinity Lutheran Church has agreed to allow us to purchase. But as part of an agreement for that, they wanted to ensure their ability to access their property at 338 South Chestnut, which is it's kind of their storage garage area. They were concerned about the full part of the RDA site being developed and them not having the same amount of access to that site. So Matt Buchanan and myself met with Tom Giese, our right-of-way specialist, and it was decided that the best action at this time was to dedicate the triangular shaped part, which he has marked on the map, to the public for South Chestnut Ave. This would allow access to the existing garage, which is owned by the church. So staff is recommending that the dedication via quitclaim deed be approved.
Questions, comments in regard to the proposal?
And Rhonda, just to be clear, that essentially is allowing the right of way to essentially exist in front of that parcel, which is what's giving it access,
does
correct?
create the public right of way, yes.
That's why the city is in need of taking it on. So it essentially becomes part of the public street. So just to
Yes,
be clear.
thanks, Neil.
Yep.
Questions and comments in regard to what's being recommended? If not, one way or another, I will entertain a motion.
Oh,
I'll
just
make the
one quick
motion that
one.
we,
What?
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, one quick question, Gary, and this is to Neil. This doesn't, by granting this claim, it doesn't look like it's impeding the city and anything we want to do around the area. Is that correct?
That is correct. If anything,
Okay.
it actually cleans up the right of way a little bit, Matt, and actually makes it a little bit even clearer for what our responsibilities are in the area. So.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
So I'll make the motion that we approve the quitclaim deed for parcel 2-947.
I'll second it.
motion by Kathy and a second by Matt. Questions or comments in regard to the motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, opposed, none. Motion carried. Thank you. Thanks, Rhonda.
Thank you.
And number 8, we're gonna.
John.
Number 8, we're gonna hold off until a future meeting. Number 9, consideration of possible action on a development agreement for tax incremental finance assistance for development of the property at 216-222 Cherry Street, parcel 12-114. Who's got that one?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll take that one. This is one, obviously, this was one essentially that was presented to to the RDA previously. I believe back in November, I think is when we first brought this forward. Essentially, these are the general terms and conditions that are provided in your packet. Essentially, again, the developer is still evaluating the exact extent of how high they can go. So we're trying to present this agreement in basically a situation of what the minimum project would be. So at least 3 stories and at least 39 market rate apartment units. That could increase up to, I think, 5 stories possibly. Mr. Nugent and his contractor are available on the call after the summary if there are specific questions we'd like to go through. Project is they are eager to get started. They're looking to try to get started here late this spring or this summer. We're certainly going to need to get some, I think the details will need to be worked out in terms of the skywalk connection and coordinating with our public works department. And then also a lease for parking stalls will certainly need to be essentially worked into the final project before it is ready to go. I think the developer has kind of indicated that those things are critical enough that those will need to be resolved prior to really moving forward on the project. The ask was for, based on cost, has been 80% of the increment. Staff is recommending 70% until such time we kind of have a little bit better idea of any public costs that may be associated with the ramp. The idea is certainly right now, the developer has indicated that they are willing to pay for any and all improvements related to the skywalk related to this particular project. But knowing that until we know exactly what those costs are, we think there's a chance that the city may still have some improvements that they may need to make into the ramp. So until at such time we have, certainly there's a possibility of going up to 80. Our average request is certainly in the 70 to 75% range is what we've done on most similar projects here in the past. This is a little bit more of a unique animal in terms of the connection to the parking structure and some other force. So as we kind of, at this time, we're certainly still recommending 70% until we have more firm cost estimates related to the improvements related to the ramp, just to make sure we have adequate cash flow to do that. So at 20% would be going towards public improvements related to the district or this project, and then 10% would be retained for administrative costs. Looking at approximately a total increment of about 1.8 million, with about 1.29 million then of that going to the developer. We've had the version of the agreement, that is the red line version in your packet, has been reviewed very briefly by the city attorney, and it doesn't have any has some minor edits at this point. But we'll certainly be looking at that, and as well as Mr. Nugent's counsel, to finally take a final look at it at this point. But right now we believe that, the primary difference is certainly the amount of increment that we are discussing and trying to land on that. And I think staff would certainly be willing to consider a higher amount once we know what some of those public costs might be. So with that, certainly I am available for any questions. I guess I will hop in here. Just a reminder, this is kind of a scaling model of the building, how it will look like on the site, as well as an updated kind of a design concept that is being considered for the building. This is not the actual design, but kind of something similar that would be considered as kind of the inspiration behind the design that they might be looking at this time. So with that, I am certainly available for questions, and I know Mr. Nugent is available on the call as well if the board would like to open the floor.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to open the floor to hear from Mr. Nugent.
Thank you.
Second, Bridget.
Thank you.
We have to vote first, Mr. Nugent. We have to vote, okay?
Yeah.
Second. I think it'll be us.
Second by Matt. Right,
Okay.
Matt?
No, it was seconded by Bridget, I think.
Okay, second by Bridget, sorry. Okay, motion and a second to open up the meeting to the public. All those in favor, saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. We are open, Mr. Developer. Nugent, Mr. Nugent.
And don't worry, Peter, usually I am out of order, so it
Oh my gosh,
happens
you
all the
guys.
time.
My apologies. Thank you. Thank you, though, and thank you for the opportunity to be back with you today. Maybe one point of clarification, Neil. I thought previously we were at 75% TIF based on TIF assistant based on our prior email correspondence and approval that we had.
Oh, okay. According to the notes I had, maybe I had a dated session on that, Peter, if that's possible. That if we did look at that again, 75 would still be more in line with previous projects. So just to be clear on that.
And
so I may have had I may have looked at the wrong cash flow spreadsheet. I may have had the wrong numbers.
Gotcha. Thank you. And we can talk offline or circle back on that. That's fine. A couple of quick updates as it relates to the project, and really from the discussion that we had at the RDA back in November. We got some really good feedback from the RDA, including some consideration for 3-bedroom units. Originally, our plan or development did not include any 3-bedroom units. We were able to modify our floor plans, and now we do have some 3-bedroom units built in. What that does, unfortunately, and we talked about this a little bit at the last RDA meeting, it reduces the number of units that ultimately we're able to have as part of the development. So originally we had a maximum 65 units. Now we're probably in that 56 to 57 range because of those additional 3-bedroom units. A 3-bedroom unit really takes up multiple other units. Oftentimes a 2-bedroom unit and a 1-bedroom unit, or even sometimes 2 2-bedroom units. So that's just for point of reference on that. Unfortunately, when you do that, it does impact the overall economic performance and projections of the development. The other thing that we're dealing with right now is, from a cost standpoint, costs are literally all over the board, and it's really difficult to get a good understanding of where they're going to be 3 months from now, 6 months from now. Just another point of reference, at the November meeting, from the November meeting until now, our budget has gone up 12.6%. So when you look at the lower number of units, when you look at the higher cost, that was why we at this point had asked for the additional TIF assistance to 80%. So there is some math and I guess some numbers to support that request that we had. As it relates to the connection to the ramp, that is an absolute critical piece to this. Without that parking, this project simply does not, it simply does not happen. We will rent those spots at rates that we will agree to in any lease that we have with the city. So we think that from the city standpoint, we'll be able to use an underutilized parking ramp and provide some revenue, some good revenue to the city on a monthly basis. So that's kind of where we're coming from. That's where the increase in TIF assistance came from. And I guess that's all that I had. So thank you.
I have a question for Mr. Nugent. I guess I would just like a little more clarity. You know, what it said 70 and it's 75 really. So I understand that. So what is the, you know, total impact if we can't go to 80? What does this mean for your project? Just help me understand that really, really clearly.
So thank you for the question. From an investment team standpoint, the investors are certainly interested in this project and want this project to go forward. But when it comes to the dollars and cents, when it comes to the actual economic projected performance of the project and a return on investment for the investors, when you reduce the number of units and therefore really reducing the level of revenue that you're able to bring in on the project, and at the same time, you need more money to put into the project to actually make it happen, it's kind of a double whammy. So from a pro forma standpoint, it reduces the NOI on the project and can therefore impact the investment performance of the project.
And so to clarify more, you're introducing the 3-bedroom units because, finish the sentence.
Yeah, well, and two things. Number one, there are not a lot of 3-bedroom units in the downtown market right now. We do believe that there is good demand for 3-bedroom units. Again, we really appreciated the feedback that we received from RDA at the last meeting. So we're fully in line with that. But on the 3-bedroom unit, from a price per square foot, you bring in lower rent than you would on a 2-bedroom unit and lower rent than you would on a 1-bedroom unit. So that's how the economics of the project change.
Thanks for making that really clear to me. I'm sympathetic to your cause at this point. Let me just say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it does say 75% in the contract. It just, in parentheses, it has 70.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How many stalls will you need out of the Cherry Street parking ramp? You know?
Really depending on the number of units that we ultimately have, we're aiming for between 39 and 57 units. I would envision that we're probably going to need 50 to maybe 80 stalls.
And Neil,
And
that's
rough-
possibility, Neil? I mean, is there room in that ramp or?
So certainly we've had preliminary conversations with Public Works. It believes so. I think the interesting point that we've had conversations with Mr. Nugent on is kind of the timing on exactly when the stalls will be needed will be kind of off peak hours, evening hours mostly. So we believe that there's probably going to be the ability to make sure that those, at least for, maybe the lease is actually for those stalls to be, reserved for overnight kind of stay kind of things. I think there's definitely, I don't want to speak for the parking utility specifically at this point, but we're interested in seeing that. Plus there are some other opportunities. We are looking for parking in the area to see that it should work, but we're going to make sure that that's verified before this really kind of gets moved forward. So.
And the connection that our building would have to the ramp would be on a higher floor, probably the 4th floor of the ramp, which if you go in there in the middle of the day, I was just in there yesterday. At least yesterday, it was very underutilized in early afternoon.
And Mr. Chair, I believe the mayor would like to hop in here too, if he could, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, please.
Yeah, just wanted to chime in with thanks more than anything to Mr. Nugent and his team for bringing this proposal forward. This meets a huge housing need in the community and in downtown. So very enthusiastically supportive of the concept. Just kind of to piggyback on Barb's question, Alderdorf's question or comment. I think, 3-bedroom units would be fantastic. But, just lean into what the market is saying is what I would encourage you to do. I wouldn't necessarily want the city to be subsidizing or your private investors subsidizing larger units because of discussion here. Well, as valuable as that input might have been. So just wanted to emphasize that point. And then also was just curious if you and your investors, and this would potentially be a question for Cheryl or Neil, if you and your investors would be interested in contemplating the addition of a modest number of affordable units in the development, because there could potentially be some federal funding available to make that happen. And then the final point that I just wanted to make on parking, I discussed this with Director Steck-Schulte and Director Grenier. If you all, want a lease in place for parking, I don't think that's ultimately going to be an issue at all, but I would just encourage you to think about not doing that and just allowing residents to retain the parking that they need. As Neil was alluding to, I'm not sure what time of day you were in there, Peter, and there, clearly there was a lot of vacancy. If you go in there at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, there, the thing is 75% vacant probably. So just encouraging you to think about allowing residents to sort of figure that out on their own in terms of what the demand for parking is. And then our division can work with you on that. But we sometimes, when we're kind of doing the central planning, we miss the mark a little bit rather than just allowing residents to figure out the parking needs that they have and then make those spots available.
Great comments, Mr. Mayor. Other comments and questions?
Yeah, just a question to Mr. Nugent on, I understand right today, there's not a firm plan for what would be built. When do you think you would have a firm plan? Because where I'm a little bit struggling is nailing down exact TIF funding when we don't know what's going to be built. I'm not sure if that serves either of our interests.
Sure. I think it's a very good question. So the engineering work that we have engaged has been ongoing. The final piece of that engineering work is scheduled to be completed it's either tomorrow or Thursday. And a report then 3 weeks after that. So I would say within the next 3 weeks, we are going to have a clear indication of exactly what the size and scope of the project will be.
Just if I could add to that, Mr. Schuler, obviously as a pay-go project, certainly based on a percentage of increment, at least it's just simply then it's more of it's a cash flow exercise once we have a matter of what costs we might be looking at. Because there is no upfront obligation here, the city's cash flow standpoint, we're not as concerned with kind of nailing down the exact dollar figure on there, as long as we know we've kind of got a minimum project that performs at the minimum level. Obviously, any additional increment that comes in above that should be considered a positive for the project and should still cash flow. But I certainly agree with the sentiment. Obviously, when we know, it would be nice to be able to have it nailed down, certainly by the time it goes to council with this is the number of stories, this is the number of units, these are the, so I think that I do believe that's probably Mr. Nugent's intent to have that kind of nailed down by that time.
Absolutely correct.
So staff simply approached it as by the minimum project size to make sure if it, assuming that if it worked at the minimum cash flow level, additional increment would actually continue that trend. But
yep.
Bridget, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a couple comments. I just wanted to say to Peter, I appreciate the education on the 3-bedroom because we've heard a lot of different things about 2 bedrooms, 1 bedrooms, and now the economic impact makes sense to me, but I also appreciate that you put them in there. I'm one of your customers that would be looking for 3-bedroom. Couldn't find any in downtown Green Bay. That was a huge impediment to me moving there. And I actually had to end up designing my own place. So I couldn't find anything to rent or buy. If we want more diversity in downtown and families, we have to have 3-bedroom living places. And the other question I think the mayor hit on as well, I guess I was wondering why you didn't have any affordable housing units. And I'm really learning about this, but it seems like they tend to be concentrated into certain areas. And so I thought, does the West Side just not have as many affordable, so I was just wondering why that wasn't part of your design.
Thank you for the questions. And I apologize, Mayor, I didn't circle back to your question as it relates to affordable units. We would be absolutely interested in having a conversation about that. I don't know a lot about that segment and the different, I think, Mayor, you had mentioned grants and different funding that might be available for that. So I would absolutely entertain a conversation about that.
I think that'd be great. Thank you.
So certainly, with a lot of information still not finalized, I think it'd be a leap for us to go to 80%, Neil, at this point in time. I just don't think that'd be the right thing for us to do. It sounds like more information is coming and coming soon.
And certainly, obviously, we are looking, just to be clear, and also for Peter's information, because of the number of things that are still in the pipeline here coming up, we are looking at having asking for another RDA meeting here in a couple of weeks, a special meeting to kind of continue to address a couple of current projects that are in the hopper. So if there was some additional information that was available between now and then, we could certainly take that time and use that to bring that back to this body. I think the one challenge we're looking at here in terms of schedule is that there's the next city council meeting is a week from today. And then the next meeting is not until April 19th, I believe, Mayor, if that's correct. I think there's not an early meeting in April because of the election. So that would be the only timing concern we would raise in terms of Mr. Nugent's schedule, if that still works. If we go to that next RDA meeting to finalize things, it's probably looking at a council meeting on April 19th for a full final development agreement, if that would make sense, if that would be workable or not.
It would also be a new council. I mean, it's for sure going to be 3 new people and could possibly be a lot more new people. So.
Any other questions or comments for the developer?
This is an exciting project, though. I'm very excited about that location, and
Keeps going away.
there's a
Excellent.
great coffee house down the street for those people that live there. Just saying.
Debbie?
No, there.
That's right.
Yeah, I keep putting my hand up, but the hand keeps disappearing on me.
Please.
So from what I'm hearing is that there might be a possibility of, I don't think that he can, change the pro forma by adding affordable housing and finding federal dollars, unless, and I could be wrong, unless there's a possibility of getting some project-based vouchers attached to the development to help his pro forma work. Especially with some 3 bedrooms, it does skew things a lot, but necessary. And then my second comment is, it sounds like he was under the assumption that we were at 75%. And are we sticking to the 70, or are we going to that 75 that you alluded to also, Neil?
I think certainly as staff, I'm okay taking it to 75% at this point. Again, knowing still that we need to kind of verify some project costs related to the ramp installation. Again, whether it's Mr. Nugent paying for them as the developer or the city paying for them, where now if Mr. Nugent has said he's willing to cover those costs, I still think I want to make sure we have a firm grasp on what those costs would be before we do a final allocation of funds, because we may need to go additional funds or do some additional grants from the public section of that to make sure we're covering those improvements. Obviously, Mr. Nugent's looking at specifically the connection of the skywalk to his building to the ramp. If there's other improvements we may need to make elsewhere in the ramp, again, we just don't know at this point what the exact public costs would be, but I think 75% is certainly an acceptable breakdown. So we would be 75% to the developer, 15% for basically public project costs, and then reserving 10% for administrative costs, which is our usual number that we do assign. So I think that's acceptable, but we won't know that absolutely for sure until we kind of have those public costs identified. But this, I think it is a workable 75, 50, 75, 25 is a workable position at this point. And again, we might be able, knowing that we could maybe even elevate that to 80 once we know what those costs are at that point.
Could I say something, Mr. Chair? Yeah, because it's not a question for Mr. Nugent, but we're kind of going over into asking these other kinds of questions. So I want to say that I'm in favor of the 80, but I also am in favor of waiting to get some of these questions answered. As much as I hate putting this off,
right,
we need to get some questions answered. And if we can, maybe it's a happier outcome for Mr. Nugent. And then we're at 80%, or maybe there's other grant money that can be used to subsidize some of this. So maybe this is not the right moment to make a firm decision. Mr. Nugent, how do you feel about that? Now, I'll make it into a question for him.
I'm devastated.
I'm sorry.
Look, in all seriousness, I and the rest of the investment team are very excited about this project and what it can mean to downtown Green Bay. If anybody on the RDA or on the call here doesn't know me, I was born and raised here in Green Bay, and downtown Green Bay I'm very passionate about. So I am committed to making this project work. If everyone feels like it would make more sense to come back with some maybe more concrete numbers and a better idea of exactly what the development will be, I'm willing to do that. But it'll need to be sooner rather than later, especially given our plan is still to start construction on this in the July-August timeframe.
Okay.
I'd be in favor of approving the 80% and moving forward, just because I think we've seen so many things stalled, and I feel like prices are going up. The time is now, and it sounds like if we had to make adjustments, we could going forward. That's just my 2 cents.
Before going back to regular business, any other questions or comments for the developer?
I just wanted to state, Chair, Mr. Nugent, that we do have some funding sources for affordable housing, whether that's we can work with the county maybe for some project-based vouchers. We have TDA funding, we have home dollars, so we should talk about that. So
that would be great.
A number of them would qualify for that. That might, it'd be a nice mixed income.
That would be great. I'm in favor of that. Thank you.
Great.
Any other
To close
questions?
the floor.
Okay, a motion to go back to regular business and a second by Kathy, is it?
Yep.
Yep. All those in favor, sing by saying aye.
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 Opposed, we are back to regular order of business. Matt, we got the perfect motion? I always lean on you when I need a perfect motion.
Well, I think based on the discussion, Gary, I'd make the motion that we, approve the TIF funding at 80%. But then also seek to have an update when, there's really a final project plan and we know all the final costs, especially for the connection to the ramp. So that we can have that final approval on the development agreement.
Second, enthusiastically, second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Questions or comments in regard to the motion? That would be actually, Neil, I want to hear your comments in regard to this motion.
Again, absolutely comfortable with that, Mr. Chair, knowing that obviously as long as we have the ability to verify the cost comparison in the allocation and certainly review that with our finance department. The one interesting challenge we will be certainly making on this is this is most likely to be a new TIF district that will be required for this area. That will probably be an overlay for this particular area. So we just need to make sure we have a clear understanding of how the overlay is going to work in terms of with the cash flow and the funding coming in for this particular parcel, which we don't anticipate to be a problem as long as we do a process. So just knowing what the costs are going to be and having a good understanding what the cash flow will be, as long as we have the ability to do that, we can set it at certainly comfortable setting it at 80% and analyzing it as such going forward.
Okay, a question for Cheryl. Cheryl, you mentioned there might be some other grants or programs, especially if part of this is affordable housing. If that's true, is it possible that commitment could be lowered? Depending on what they come up with. I have no idea.
It all depends on how it lays out with the rents, what
Right.
rent they can charge on those units, and that plays out in the master plan, I think. But we can certainly look at that.
Okay, and the good news, it's a TIF. It's a pay-as-you-go, which is a great thing. We love those. Okay, so questions or comments in regard to the motion in a second? If not, all those in favor to the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nugent.
Thank you for your time and feedback. Appreciate it very much.
Good luck.
Can't wait to see the shovels in the ground.
It's
Yes.
extremely exciting project. Absolutely. It's gonna be a great addition to downtown. Thank you.
Thank you.
Informational, financial report and check register. I went over that. I didn't have any questions, but did anybody else have any questions in regard to the financial report and register? If not, director's report. Before we even get into that, Neil, I want to thank Neil because he was working on their agenda and the development agreements and planning options all weekend, including yesterday. Talked to him a couple different times, and I appreciate the extra effort there, Neil, and getting a lot of these projects to us. Through the weekend. I know you were working on them, and I really appreciate that extra effort because it keeps a lot of things going that would have to be delayed otherwise. So thank you. Thank you
And
for
I
that.
do appreciate it. And certainly I want to know certainly for RDA members, we really like to have these, a nice, slow, steady pace where everybody's got everything done and everybody's comments have been included. And it's a nice, clean process going forward, which we always strive for that. Know that we always try to do that, but sometimes timing just doesn't quite work out that way. So, we do appreciate the, certainly the review and the time that RDA does put into these. Even when we get them to you on short notice, we try to at least give you the redlined version so you can kind of see where the changes were and hopefully get some good discussion here at this level. So, but know that it's not, we don't like to operate that way. We like to keep it a little bit more advanced notice for everybody and get the notices and the agendas out certainly on the Friday or Thursday before the meeting. And so please note that that's still our tried effort to get that done. So I appreciate the sentiment, Gary, but we don't really want to plan on operating like that all the time. We're going to make a very targeted effort to try to get things backed up a little bit, so we have that time for everybody to allow to review that. So, but thank you for that comment. Just a couple of quick points on the slide I think I put up here right now. So folks obviously hopefully saw the press conferences last week with the governor here in Green Bay. We were fortunate enough to be awarded a $5 million neighborhood investment grant for the JBS site, the redevelopment of that particular site. So that's the one where we're looking at over on the east side, where we're looking at an urban farm concept, a neighborhood, a good kind of a destination park concept, along with hopefully a mix of affordable housing options. So that's going to go a long way to assisting and getting that site ready to go, and we're very excited about that. Mayor has made it clear that he wants to see some planning work started on the park right away, so we're mobilizing staff to try to start having that conversation already. In addition, I'll hop down, and there's actually going to be it's actually also being the topic of a collaboration exercise team that's kind of being put on through some of the mayor's contacts with the Bloomberg Harvard Center on leadership, that's going to allow us to really leverage some great partnerships in the community. We've already had kind of a kickoff event where we had, gosh, I want to say 60 partners in the room in terms of other people, in terms of everybody from the Green Bay Foundation to the school district to the Salvation Army to a host of other partners in the room to try to leverage some unique ideas and some energy behind what we can put into that site. So we're excited to hopefully be reporting on some progress on that very, very soon going forward. Probably the biggest one that was probably announced that we were part of the team that helped with was $15 million to accelerate the relocation of the coal piles. So we were very, very excited about that project. That's actually a grant to Brown County. Actually, the county and city had submitted joint grants, kind of partnering. They kind of lumped them all into one and pushed them all to Brown County. This will go towards the basically the acquisition and starting the redevelopment planning and site engineering of the actual Pulliam plant site. That's the first domino we need to fall to really get Sea Rice to seriously consider moving their operations and getting those things there. So we're excited about that. That's probably, I don't know, Mayor, was it the largest award in the state? It's got to be close to one of the ones we saw. It was certainly $15 million was probably one of the larger grants that were given out. So it was a long road, a lot of work put in by the mayor and staff and the county and everybody trying to get some funding to move forward. So this was an exciting announcement, and we're excited to really get that moving.
Thank you for all that work, everyone. That's exciting.
It's a biggie, exactly. So, I think as Gary had said, we are actually working on 5 active development agreements in various stages right now. Obviously, we had the one we talked about today. We've got 2 others we'll be bringing forward. Hopefully, at a special meeting, we'll be checking everyone's schedule availability here. You'll be getting a note from staff to get that scheduled. We have a good industrial project that we are looking at with the Economic Development Authority that we're kind of working on and doing that as well. So very excited about all the activity. Wishing we had a few more resources to kind of get all these balls in the air, but we're getting through and trying to keep them all moving. So progress is being made on all those. We're excited to keep those going. And then just one other note wanted to throw out there. Mayor and myself and David Buck, our principal planner, and Paul Newmeyer, our zoning administrator, did participate in a affordable housing zoning for affordable housing workshop sponsored by the League of Municipalities, which is a very interesting discussion. A lot of things we're already looking at, but there were some new ideas that were thrown around there in terms of some approaches, in terms of things like accessory dwelling units, lot sizes, densities, how to make some other things, utility connections in terms of multiple units on a particular site. So a lot of good discussion that we're going to be looking at as part of our efforts in the department to really see if there's some things we can accelerate and implement to kind of make that continued development of some affordable housing even more effective and a little bit streamlined as we go forward. So that's just kind of a snapshot, certainly available to answer any questions folks may have.
I have a question.
Please.
What have you heard anything from TWG, or where is that at?
We have both. So we've kind of sent the message to both DDL properties and base companies and TWG saying that they need to present the city with one set of revisions for us to review in the development agreement. We've been kind of refereeing between the two a little bit and kind of both of them talking to us, and I don't think they're necessarily talking enough to each other. So we've asked them to kind of present one clear, these are the things we want to approach in the development agreement. Both of them already have an agreement and send them to us. So we're hopefully going to be having those. We'd like to be bringing that forward actually at the next meeting, if at all possible. But we have to make sure that they've kind of both got on the same page as kind of the primary developer and then the site developer are both on the same page. TWG is still dealing with a couple of the outstanding items that staff requested that they provide. We have not received full information on that. So we're waiting for to that as well before we kind of are really ready to bring that forward. So I'm also working on trying to get a meeting set for the mayor to actually visit with the CEO a little bit to try to get an understanding of some of the frustrations we've certainly had at our level, and wanting to try to see if we can get this thing either moving or find out if we need to get somebody else moving on the site. But at least from my last emails I've seen over the past week or so, there seems to be activity and progress made. But we will hopefully see that when we actually get one set of development agreement edits from both parties that have been approved, rather than us try to balance between the two of them. They're both same on the private development side. We want to see them on the same page before we really start more time and energy on that. So
I have one other question. This is a little left field, but I was in Spain this week for a global wireless conference, and somebody asked me about Foxconn in Green Bay and how that was going. And I was like, this is such a left. Did they leave? Did they ever? I don't know if this is an appropriate question.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. That's a great question. Essentially, my understanding of the situation is that Foxconn continues to be an owner of the property, the building downtown, but they have no active plans on establishing any sort of employment presence here in the city at this time, and at least not in the foreseeable future. So they are basically acting as a real estate landlord essentially at this point, which they have, I think 2 stories are occupied, but I think 3 of them may be available for lease and are actually being actively marketed. I know Jeff markets it for lease tenants specifically. So it's a beautiful space overlooking the river, and it's absolutely gorgeous space. So we think hopefully they are working with the right commercial brokers, which I think they have finally started to engage some folks. Jeff Merkus downtown has been a great information source in terms of making sure and sharing that information and availability with everybody and anyone interested in the building. Jeff's been a great contact for that, and will continue to do so, I'm sure. But at this point, our understanding is certainly continuing to own the building, no intentions of selling, but they will be actually leasing out. They're actually looking for lease tenants, office users, and other types of amenable uses for that space.
Question. Excellent. I'm looking at the background behind you, Neil, all the Packer jerseys. I just, before we got on the air here, they tell me that Aaron has signed a new 4-year agreement with the Packers, which I think is great news.
I think
definitely a side note. That's definitely a side note.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know.
I think the number thrown around is $200 million. So I'm assuming that Aaron wants to come make some additional investments in downtown Green Bay to help us on some of these projects. We would be more than happy to entertain that. So
absolutely. Great comment. Questions or comments for Neil, the mayor, other staff members? Keep up the great work. You're a busy young man. The whole staff is.
You guys do great work.
It's the whole department is really doing a great job right now. So thank you for the comments, though. I will make sure most of them are on here, but I'll make sure everybody's aware of that. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Comments or questions or any other observations? Mr. Mayor, keep up the great work.
Well, yeah, I mean, Neil stole the thunder, so I don't know anything else to add.
It doesn't happen very often. Usually he gets dibs on that stuff. So I probably should have gone to the bullpen first on that one, let him make the announcement. But
no. Yeah, a lot of good news last week in terms of development.
Absolutely.
For the city. Just very excited to begin some negotiations in earnest with C. Rice to make that relocation possible.
Absolutely. Another first big step That is great news. And it's more funds than the Harbor Commission was even expecting initially. So that's great.
Yeah, it was a great quote from Tom Klimek in the Press Gazette. Like holy blank, I think was his response to the dollar amount.
That's funny.
Keep up the great work, everybody. This is no other questions or comments. I entertain a motion to be adjourned.
Move to adjourn.
Debbie, I saw Debbie raising her hand.
Debbie's
Debbie,
reversed.
I'm just teasing you, Debbie. Anyway, motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second. Okay.
well,
all those-
I'm counting on Debbie being first.
Yeah, Debbie's first.
Yep,
Debbie,
okay, second.
Debbie. All right. Very good. All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Adjourn. And until we hear otherwise, our next meeting is April 12th, but it sounds like, Neil, we might be having a special meeting to keep a couple of the other projects moving.
That's correct, sir. We'll be checking schedules with everyone here shortly, so.
Very good. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.